I was born and raised in New York City, and till the age of 21 when I joined the Marine Corps and left the city, heading south to Quantico.
Howard Lee joined the Marine Reserves in 1955. He was commissioned an officer and later chose to integrate into the regular Marine Corps. In the early 1960s, Lee had heard the reports of American military advisors operating in Vietnam. And by 1965, with American ground forces being deployed, Lee knew that his chance for combat had arrived.
I felt, in my particular case, going to war, I was as well trained as I ever could be. I had been a rifle company commander. I had taught infantry tactics at the basic school and weapons. So I knew all of the weapons and stuff organic to a Marine rifle company and infantry battalion. I was the three of an infantry battalion. So I said, this is the perfect time for me to go.
Lee arrived in Vietnam in the spring of 1966, where he was captain of a company in the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. One of the platoons in Lee's company was on a reconnaissance mission deep in enemy territory when it was attacked and surrounded by a large North Vietnamese force.
When that happened, of course, I'm on the radio monitoring all this. I'm trying to talk to the platoon commander, and I can't get him, and a young Marine on the radio was yelling and screaming, and I hear all this firing in the background. I said, oh my God, I can't figure out what's going on from talking to him. I got to get out there. I got in one helicopter with two guys, the three were in another helicopter, and we flew out there. When we got to the zone, I told the pilot, I asked the pilot to tell him, I said, I'd like to go down there on the ground, and we flew around and checked it out. All I could see is, firing going back and forth between my Marines and those guys. And I said, I need to get down on the ground and try to reinforce the platoon. He said, Captain, that's crazy. It's a hot zone. We already lost 2 or 3 helicopters. I can't remember how many it was now. I said, well, look, if we don't get down there, I think it's going to get even worse down there. So let's make a shot at it. So he took us down. And he was right. As we were going down, we were taking rounds all the way in. Luckily, the helicopter didn't crash. We jump out. One man was shot in the arm. I get nicked in the ear. But we managed to wiggle our way up into our lines. My Marines opened fire on all of as much as they could on the enemy to help suppress their fires. And I got up to the top of the hill, and sure enough, my platoon commander was killed. The platoon sergeant was seriously wounded. I had another couple of dead and 3 or 4 wounded. So I went around trying to rally everybody and encourage them and tell them, no sweat, we'll get the battalion in here. We're going to be all right. The other helicopter, by the way, wouldn't come in. What they did is they took my Marines and put them on a hilltop about a mile away and left them there. And I could see them on the hill, so I got back on the radio and told them, pick those Marines up and take them back to Don Hong. Don't leave them out there. They're not going to do anything from over there. So they did. They took them out. For the next 6 hours or so, we fought these guys back and forth. The thing that saved our butt is I had all kinds of supporting arms. I had not only artillery, air, but I had Huey gunships, which were really effective because they could get them real low. They could try to get right on top of these guys and just blast the heck out of them. I think it was keeping them from launching anything really big at us. And I'm talking to the battalion commander. I'm telling him, I think we're okay, as long as you can get us ammunition. And he said, okay, we'll try to get you ammunition. I said, we have a good position, and we can, good fields of fire, and we can hold this hilltop. And he started bringing the helicopters. They would make a pass, kick the ammunition out the door, and it would invariably miss and go rolling down the hill. So I finally called one of the helicopter pilots and said, look, all you're doing is giving the ammunition to the enemy. How about just land on the hill, kick it out the door, and take your chance? I said, I'll do it. And he did. He came in, landed on top of the hill. He no sooner got down, RPG took the tail end of the helicopter off, but didn't hurt him, didn't blow up the ammunition. Now I had 2 more Marine officers and an enlisted man and 2 machine guns, so we were in good shape.
Just before dark, the enemy launched an attack that lasted through the night.
In the course of that, I was up trying to see what's going on, where we needed to do something. A grenade landed next to me. And it was interesting, the thought I had. It was we used to call in World War II potato mashers. It was like a can of soup with a wooden handle on it. And it landed right next to me. And I was kind of fascinated by it. I looked at it and I said, oh. And it was going, shh. I said, oh. I started to turn away, went off. And up my right leg, side, arm, face, one piece of my eye, luckily a small piece of my right eye.
Although painfully wounded, Lee continued throughout the night to direct the valiant defense, coordinating artillery and concentrating the Marines' firepower.
And sometime during the night, I don't know exactly when, I passed out from loss of blood. Next thing I knew, it was morning and the helicopters were coming in to get us out of there. While I was at Bethesda, they assigned me to Headquarters Marine Corps. And while I was at Headquarters Marine Corps, I got a call from Mrs. White, who was head of Medals and Decorations. And she said, I need you to come up. We got to talk about your Medal of Honor ceremony. Who are you going to invite? And I said, what? My what? He said, yeah. Didn't you know you were put in for a Medal of Honor? I said, well, I didn't really know. I heard from a friend that was a possibility. I really did not expect that. Lyndon Johnson was the president. It took place on October 25th, 1967. He just said he was proud of me and of all of the service people for the job they were doing. He knew it was a tough war. And, there was a lot of dissent. But he depended on people like me. It was quite touching, I thought. It should represent the sacrifice of all the people. Most of the Medals of Honor posthumous awards. And I think if you talk to recipients, you'll say that most will say that they wear the medal not just for themselves, but for all of their people who were with them when the incident happened. The real heroes of any war are the people who don't make it, the people who make the ultimate sacrifice. And we kind of wear it for them.